Bergeron, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Volvo, the best dealership in the metro area. They have everything you could ever want. What an awesome place to shop for the vehicle of your dream at Bergeron Automotive, 3525 Veterans in North Arnold in Metairie. That's where we are for this edition of sportsNOLAtv, ahead of the national championship game between the LSU Fighting Tigers and the Alabama Crimson Tide. And a pleasant good evening to you. Ken Trahan with you. Our panelists will be with us in the next segment, and I know you will enjoy seeing them and hearing from them. Pretty good statistic, with only 3 times in the history of the NFL in this format that the wildcard teams have all won at home in the wildcard round, and that's very revealing. Ken Trahan, sportsNOLAtv from Bergeron Automotive, where we're actually closed right now, but we'll reopen tomorrow, closed because there's some game going on here right across town that we'll be at in just a little while, but reopening tomorrow morning, and of course open all day and into the evening as well at Bergeron Automotive, 3525 Veterans Boulevard at North Arnold. It's always a pleasure to welcome our regular panelists. Former New Orleans Saints wide receiver Torrance Small in the house.
How we doing, Ken? Hey, what a great weekend. I tell you, I had a great weekend. It reminded me back when I was with my grandfather, sitting right there on his lap watching that good old Western, because I tell you, it was a shootout. Old Drew Brees and Matthew Stafford went at it, and Kelvin Johnson and Marcus Coates. I tell you, the only thing about this one here, the black one won.
Brian Alley Walsh, sportsNOLA.com. I don't know. He doesn't leave you much to say when he's finished.
I'll tell you what, one of the most exciting parts of this show is his introduction and his reception to everybody. You can't follow it, Kenny.
Brian Alley, Bob Wrestler, Buford Jordan Walsh.
Crocodile
today, man. Did you get that hat from Buford, by the way?
No,
Okay,
you did not. He wouldn't, you know Buford, he wouldn't give you anything
Never
like
give it
that.
up.
No.
Brother in him. I like that. Little style, man. Little soul. Put the fist up for me.
Nice look, brother. And our guest panelist today is a very special guest, of course, a Saints Hall of Famer, a Louisiana Sports Hall of Famer, and a Greater New Orleans Sports Hall of Famer, and a Hall of Fame guide, too. Part of the Don't Patrol best linebacking core in the history of the NFL. And that was here in New Orleans when they just absolutely wrecked people. As you can see, some of the great plays that he made. Even Barry Sanders couldn't escape his wrath. He changed directions about 8 times on that fast turf, but guess what? 53 gobbled him up. Oh, there's a big play. Clinches the first winning season in New Orleans Saints history in Pittsburgh, and he celebrates. He can't jump like that anymore, I don't think. I'm just saying. He's not Jimmy Graham. He's Vaughan Johnson. What's up, Vaughan?
Hey, thanks for having me, Ken. Glad to be here. Boy, it's going to be an exciting evening between these two guys.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the championship game tonight a little bit later, too, part of our hot seat segment, among other things. Vaughan, let's start with you. You were in attendance at the Dome after appearing at the Saints Hall of Fame Museum, and as a defensive guy, again, you had to cringe. These two teams are going up and down the field and pretty much doing what they want, but you have to marvel at this Saints offense and what they can do on a consistent basis.
You have to, Ken. I mean, it's unbelievable. 40 points here, 40 points there, and then they make it look easy. Being a defensive player, you know, I often wonder, how would you defend this team? I mean, they have so many offensive weapons, and then on top of not even Drew Brees in the past, but man, they can run the football. They're a two-dimensional team. You can't just lock in on one aspect of their offense. Outstanding offense.
Yes. Torrance, it used to be that everybody copied Tampa Bay and Monty Kiffin in the past at Tampa Bay and played the Tampa 2 against the Saints, and it was working pretty much until, well, say this year, when the Saints have solved that. Detroit tried that for an entire half. They stayed in the game, but then the Saints running the ball so well got them out of it a little bit, sucked a few guys up, and the Saints made plays.
Well, this is the thing about that Tampa 2. Everybody want to try to play the Tampa 2, copy the Tampa 2, get the athletes first to play the Tampa 2. One thing they were able to do in the Tampa 2 is get a push. Warren Sapp was able to get a push without a blitz and put pressure on the quarterback. If you can't do that, hey, it's not going to work for you. And the one thing you're not going to do against the Saints, we have the best offensive line. The best offensive line in the NFL. Probably can go down if they keep playing year after year like this. Can go one is the best in history. I love them. You do not get an opportunity to touch Drew Brees as much, and I just look forward to these guys. Anybody they put before them, they're going to destroy.
Brian, he makes a good point about the offensive line. You and I were talking about this prior to the show. We have to give a lot of credit to Zach Strief and to Brian De La Puente for the way they've played. Strief has made them a better running football team. De La Puente is undersold and undervalued for what he's done.
Isn't it amazing? It just seems every week, Kenny and guys, it just seems like this offense is setting records. And I'm not saying just records on the NFL. They broke a record back in the AFL in 1963 with most yards in a postseason game. John Hadel, Gino Cappelletti, guys like this. This is unbelievable. This is 2011. You know, this is 2011. So, you know, yeah, and Kenny, you're absolutely right. Brian De La Puente, Zach Strief. How else can you not say that this is the best offensive line in the league this year?
Oh, right now,
it's a John Madden award-winning offensive line, without a question, I think.
He will love this offensive line.
Oh,
yes.
Unbelievable statistics as you look at some of the record-setting numbers just from the playoff game. This doesn't include all the records they set that we showed you last week in the regular season.
Yeah.
Look at the first
These guys are rewriting the record book on a regular basis. It's absolutely remarkable. By the way, that total yards tying the record, they would have gotten that if they had not taken a knee and lost a yard in the process of doing so. But absolutely remarkable. I mean, it's pinball football, basically. The rule changes, do they help? Sure. At the same time, this offense is absolutely remarkable, Torrance.
Oh, yeah, it's hard to stop. One of the reasons it makes it hard to stop, not just the offensive line, but look at the guys. Who do you stop? You alluded to it earlier. Who do you stop? Is it Colston? Is it Meacham? Is it Henderson? Is it Graham? We don't know who's going to show up at what time. But I tell you what, if you don't be accountable for everybody, you will get burned, and that's what's happening to teams right now.
Vaughan, you watch the game. The Saints defense gives up 28. They're an average defense at best, but they did get a couple of turnovers. And then, if you will, also comment on Pierre Thomas and how hard he ran the ball as a linebacker who had to tackle running backs all the time. Talk about how hard he ran the ball. The first guy missed him on every occasion in this game.
Every occasion. tough, hard runner. You know, the key to that, Ken, is he's healthy now. A healthy running back late in the NFL season is a big plus. I thought he did an outstanding job running the ball. Defense, you know, we're finally getting the turnovers, and I felt as if they'd come. They had opportunities early in the season, and they dropped a few. They got their hands on a few balls and didn't come up with them. But if you stay opportunistic, you know, they'll be able to get those turnovers. And it's starting to happen now. And that's a big part of winning football.
This came against a really good Detroit offense, Brian. Matthew Stafford overlooked because of the years that Breeze, Brady, and Rodgers have had. He's a really good player who's going to get better. Calvin Johnson right now, he's the best receiver in the NFL, isn't he?
Absolutely. And you know, based on the first game to the second game, you know, they did a great job. They moved him inside. They moved him around. They gave him different areas to roam, and they did a good job, but it wasn't enough to beat. You know, these guys brought up a great point. Detroit forced 2 turnovers, and if you're going to beat this team, if you get that fortunate, you need to take advantage of those, and they didn't, Kenny. They did not convert one into a point.
Yes. Right.
Yes. And in fact, remember, they had 5 fumbles all year long. They had 2 in the first half and didn't capitalize. And when you get them around the neck, you've got to squeeze, right, brothers? I mean, you have to.
Yeah, but that's what separates the good teams from the bad teams. You want to know why good teams are where they are? Because they capitalize on other teams' mistakes, and they don't make many. And that's the difference in this game right now. They had an opportunity to make this game a lot closer than what it was, but where they messed up at was they didn't capitalize on those two fumbles that they had an opportunity to turn into points, and they didn't turn them to anything.
Yeah, it's what separates the good teams from the great teams. Detroit's a good team. New Orleans is a great team, in my opinion. And they still have to prove it,
young team.
But I think they will prove it ultimately. Stay tuned for that. Vaughan, we'll talk about the Saints having to go to San Francisco a little bit later, a place you're real familiar with, and the same place and the same turf and everything else. But does it matter what turf Darren Sproles plays on? You watch how low to the ground he is and the way he's able to change directions and just take those short, choppy steps. I don't think the surface really is going to hurt him very much at all, regardless of where he plays.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, he's a smaller back, but he changed directions. He's a hard runner. His quickness. It's tough for defensive players to find him. He's just a tough all-around back.
And, Brian, they can't find him on that touchdown run where he bounced it outside. He was hiding behind his line. They didn't see him, and then he found a spot outside. Nobody saw him.
You know, we have talked about what he's meant to this offense, this team in general, and not only just out of the backfield, but special teams as well. The thing that surprised me, Kenny, about Darren as much as anything is his durability. I had no idea that this guy could run between the tackles, take on guys head on, and you know, get 15 touches a game, and look what he's done.
Yes, strong.
Tough.
Very strong little guy. But little thick, you know, little thick, strong,
You know,
powerful.
and T, I tell you what, I know that they're surprised. If they would be honest with you, they would tell you that they had no idea that this guy was that durable.
And let me make one other point about this offense, too. Another guy we overlooked. They upgraded at fullback. Jed Collins has been an upgrade.
Great
Jed
job.
Collins is a very good blocker.
Yes.
Jed Collins has proven to be a good pass receiver who catches the ball with regularity when you throw it to him, and he can actually make a few yards after the catch. So I think they clearly upgraded at that position as well. This offense is simply better than they were in 2009. No question about it.
And that's
the question
scary,
is, can
Kenny.
they be good in the other areas
scary.
or good enough to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
We'll return in just a moment to break down the NFL playoffs as Sports NOLA TV continues from Bergeron Automotive, 3525 Veterans in North Arnold in Metairie. Here's our Sports NOLA TV trivia question for the evening. Drew Brees passed for 466 yards against the Lions, the second highest total in NFL postseason history. Question is, who holds the playoff single game record for yards passing? Brian and I think we're all over it. Let's see if you know the answer. We'll give it to you a little bit later in the show. Ken Trahan, Sports NOLA TV, Bergeron Automotive, 3525 Veterans in Metairie, corner of North Arnold. And we take a look at the NFL wild card playoff results. All four home teams are winners. The Giants started slow, finished fast, dominated the Falcons 24-2. All those weapons on offense, and you score 2 points, and they came on defense, and you accumulate just 247 yards. Dominance by the Giants in the second half. Eli Manning, good job. 277 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and they ran the ball, something they haven't done all season long. Last in the league in rushing, but Brandon Jacobs of Assumption High School with 92 yards rushing. And now you flip the page to the Houston Texans, who got it done at home with TJ Yates at quarterback, 31-10 over the Bengals. First ever playoff win. The city of Houston celebrates as well they should. They ran the ball extremely well. They got Vaughan Johnson back. That's still a good football team. Would have been my favorite in their conference had they stayed healthy. You never know. They still could get there. We'll see, but they'll have to do so with Yates at quarterback. The Denver Broncos, what a game. Best game of the weekend by far. Overtime, but barely. 29-23 over the Steelers. Tim Tebow, 316 yards, passing average 31.6 yards per completion. Threw the deep ball extremely well. He ran the ball extremely well. He did not turn the ball over. He did an outstanding job in that game. The Denver defense, good enough. And obviously the Broncos moving on as a result. The new overtime rule doesn't even come into play, which was, of course, that you must score a touchdown on the first possession if you want to end the game. Well, the Broncos not only did so, they did so on the first play from scrimmage in overtime to win the game. Brian, anything that really stuck out in your mind from those results?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm sure I speak for the whole dais here is the Denver game. I mean, the way that they did it and the way that Tim Tebow performed. 10 completions for 316 yards.
Yes.
Come on. And then, of course, if you left the room to go get your favorite beverage or to relieve yourself, the overtime, it was over, boys and girls. It was over. Quickest overtime game in playoff history, correct? So that game's for sure.
Vaughn, what about from what you saw this past weekend? What stuck out in your mind?
I think the main thing that stuck out to me was Atlanta's performance. I mean, 2 points. You know, this is a playoff, win or go home. You know, they have all those weapons. You would thought that they would have put forth a better effort, but it didn't happen.
Well, their offensive line is not as good as people thought they would be. And they didn't run the ball as well this year as people thought they would either.
No, they didn't. But 2 points, I expected more out of those guys.
Torrance, what stuck out in your mind?
Atlanta, that's a big disappointment. You know, you have how many? 4th and inches? You can't get a 4th and inch. Here you have one of the thickest running backs in the NFL. Twice. One of the thickest running. And you cannot, you guys won the last so many previous years because of your running game. You guys want to throw the ball so much. Run. You are who you are. Matt Ryan is not a great passer. He's good, but he's not great. Be who you are. You'd have got that 1 yard.
Well, to me, the performance by Houston was very solid. I thought they looked like a good football team. TJ Yates managed the game. Look, they can run the ball as well as anybody. They've got a great receiver. They play very good defense. Wade Phillips getting attention for a head coaching job again. But then there's the Tebow mania. Listen, there are haters, there are lovers, and then there are those that are somewhere in between, but not many. The ratings for that game were incredible, off the charts, and it's all because of him. And the bottom line is this. All the misinformation about this kid. We get reports on Friday that Brady Quinn is taking snaps. Look, Jim Nantz and Phil Simms saw practice on Friday. They said that's bogus. The guy took 2 snaps. But again, there's a lot of hating going on, just like there's a lot of love. Bottom line is he's a rookie, and he's done a good job overall. And he's earned the opportunity to move forward in the playoffs and to move forward as well as a starting quarterback for the Broncos next year. All right, here's the playoff picture in the NFL as we look at the slate and the way things unfold. The Giants, of course, at Green Bay, delicious. 3:30 matchup, as you know, on Sunday. The Saints in San Francisco the day before at 3:30 out at Candlestick. Talk to Vaughan about that a little bit later on. And then, of course, you look at the matchups in the AFC. Denver in a rematch game in New England. 41-23, Patriots won the first matchup at Denver. And Houston is at Baltimore in what should be another intriguing game. 2 very good defenses, which will match up in that game. Brian, very quickly, just to take on those matchups.
Yeah, it's the first time I believe the seeding has held forth, right? 1 through 4. It's you know, they got it right. They got it right.
Yes.
Vaughn?
Well, I tell you what, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited about this weekend.
Any matchup you like, Torrance?
I'm on course of what I call. Don't be surprised. We have another game in the Dome against the Giants.
Wow.
You heard it here first.
He has
The
said
Giants
that.
are winning, the Saints will win.
He
Yeah.
has said that
He's
all
brought that
along,
up
and he's
previously.
wrong. But he said it all along.
The beard will be shaved.
All right. Time for our Sports NOLA TV fan question of the day. This is where our fans get a chance to ask our guest panelists questions about the pertinent sports topics. And our first question is for Brian Alley Walsh. Sir, state your name and where you're from.
I'm Randy from Metairie, and will Honey Badger be returning both kicks and punts? And how will the long layoff affect the teams?
Randy, very good question. I think I've heard that one before. I would say that Honey Badger will probably handle punts for sure, but my deep inside source on this, Marvelous Marvin LeBlanc, tells me that if he's needed in the 4th quarter to get some return yards at kick, he will do that as well. As far as getting ready for the game, Les Miles and Nick Saban are 2 of the best. Both coaches will have their teams ready, willing, and able. Everybody's healthy, so I expect to see both teams at full strength tonight.
Now that's what I call an unimpeachable source.
That's right.
Our next question is for Vaughan Johnson. State your name and where you're from.
Hi, Shirley Johnson from Kenner, Louisiana. Mr. 4-time All-Pro linebacker. Since you know it all, will Drew Brees see more blitzes tonight?
Whoa. Okay. Very good question. Well, I'll tell you what. There's definitely going to be some blitzes at Drew, but I don't think that San Francisco is going to over-blitz him because he's seen it all. He's a smart quarterback. He does an outstanding job against the blitz. I think he'll see some, but they're smart enough to know that they can't blitz him down after down and be successful.
Well done. And he might be able to go home this evening.
Just
Probably
might.
be a good thing. Our next question is for former St. Torrance Small. State your name and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm from Kenner, Louisiana. I'm here at Bergeron, so come see me. My question is, San Francisco having the best defense in the league, how do you think the Saints are going to be able to pull it off, or even if they had a team as comparable, a defense as comparable as the 49ers, how do you think they'll be able to pull it off?
Well, Natalie, this is what this comes down to. Let's look at this. Let's look at some numbers here. The Saints are scoring away from the dome. We're scoring 27 points. San Fran is giving up only 10 points at home, but their offense, on the other hand, is just scoring 27 points at home. Well, the way I look at this here, Drew Brees and company, we will put points up. The thing is, will San Francisco be able to put their points up against our defense? That's going to be the key to the victory in this game for the Saints.
Good questions all. We always appreciate our fans sharing with us what's on their minds, and we try to give them the best responses that we can. We'll return in just a moment. When we do, it's our hot seat segment. Who's going to win, LSU or Alabama? Stay tuned. Brian Alley Walsh has the answer when we return on sportsNOLAtv from Bergeron Automotive, 3525, corner of Veterans and North Arnold in Metairie. Our sportsNOLAtv trivia question of the evening. Drew Brees passed for 466 yards against the Detroit Lions, the second highest total in NFL postseason history. Who holds the playoff single-game record for yards passing? Answer is Bernie Kosar, 489 yards, 1986. Boy, the Browns were so close. Those Broncos denied them. The Raiders denied them as well. They were always close, couldn't get there. And Bernie Kosar is a good trivia question answer for this evening. Ken Trahan, sportsNOLAtv, Bergeron Automotive. Glad you've joined us. And as always, our hot seat segment is a feature of this show. And Brian Alley Walsh is put on the hot seat to deal with a very complex and sometimes controversial topic. Today's topic is the BCS National Championship game. Who wins? LSU, Alabama, and why? Brian, the floor is yours.
Well, I'm not going to be a very popular camper here today, but I'm going to give you Torrance Small's home phone. So if you have any problems, call him. It's 188-TORRANCE. All right, I like Alabama, and I'll tell you why. In a very brief statement here, I like them to win 20-16. And the reason I do is because I think the rematch, they're going to do things that they didn't do in the first game. They had opportunities in the first game, albeit they missed 4 field goals. It's going to take touchdowns to win this game. And I think with Nick Saban on the other side, he's a hard guy to beat 2 times in a row, and I think they're going to come back and do it. They've got Trent Richardson, but I think A.J. McCarron is going to have to make plays in order for them to win, and I think he'll make just enough plays to make it work.
I don't think so. I like your pre-thought. What you thinking? I know you don't want to come out too strong. You're kind of scared down here in LSU land. I understand you, but
that's 188-TORRANCE.
This won't happen, folks. It won't happen. One, defensive backs. They're going to shut down the pass. I don't think McCarron's going to get any passing in this game. And they're going to shut down Richardson. The thing is to hold him down. He's going to get his yards. He's going to make some plays. He had a pretty good game. But the thing was they could not get in the end zone. And in order to win this game, you're going to have to get in the end zone. I look at the score being more of a 24-13 game. I think they'll score 1 touchdown. The rest will be field goals. I think they're going to miss some field goals as well. But we forgot about the special teams. I believe we're going to have a score on the special team as well, the Honey Badger. Something that Alabama doesn't have an answer for is our special teams.
Vaughn?
No, you're right, Terrence. I like the way you're thinking. I don't know what Brian's talking about over here. I think he might be still asleep. I got to agree with you, though, Terrence. You know, LSU, very confident football team. They're undefeated. I love the way their defense is playing. Their offense is outstanding. I think they're going to do a better job this time preparing for these guys. They got Jefferson. He's feeling confident about it. I see LSU winning 16-10.
Yes, LSU is the better. They're the most balanced team right now in the country. If you just look at their track record. Look at the track record. They're the most balanced team, offense, defense, and special teams. They're winning in all phases. I don't see Alabama being able to win any of those phases of the game.
All right, are you guys done? All right, Alabama will win, as I stated before. I think they're in the driver's seat from this standpoint. All they've heard for 2 months is that that they don't deserve to be in this game, and they've got a bigger chip on their shoulder than LSU. Les Miles is right. His team doesn't need a chip on its shoulder to motivate.
Exactly.
Neither does Alabama, for that matter. They deserve to be in this game, and they're going to prove come tonight. By the time 10 o'clock, 10:30 rolls around, you'll see why Alabama deserved to be in this game.
Chip or no chip, They got a chip on their shoulder. Give me the salsa so I can dip it, because LSU is going to win this game. We have Jordan Jefferson, who started. He didn't start this game. You remember that now. He didn't start the game. Now we have a triple threat like our boy Tebow. We can run, we can pass, he can do it all. And that's the one thing. That's going to be the big difference. That's why we're going to score more points this game, because Jordan Jefferson is going to start this game. He's not coming off the bench.
Don't forget about the special teams now. LSU has a better special teams than Alabama. Everybody knows that. Special teams are a big part of this game, and it's going to show.
I know this. When Alabama's got to take advantage of every scoring opportunity they get, just like LSU now.
Yes,
all right,
exactly.
In the first game, Alabama was inside LSU's 40, 21 plays, and they only managed 4 yards. They cannot do that again, all right? They cannot do that again, or they'll walk away another loser.
All right, it's time for the judge to render his verdict. If there's any chip on his shoulder here, it belongs to both sides. LSU has an enormous chip on its shoulder because all they've heard for 2 months from every analyst is how Alabama should have won the game. Alabama was the better team. Alabama had more penetrations. LSU won the game in Tuscaloosa. They won the game in Tuscaloosa. They won the game in Tuscaloosa. End of story. Bottom line is LSU is the better team. They were the better team the first time around. I believe they'll prove that they're the better team this time, because in the 3 phases of the game, I do believe they're even defensively. I think offensively, they're probably a wash. And in the kicking game, LSU is far superior. I've heard people talk about quarterback play. Jordan Jefferson's in his senior year. He has something to prove, especially based upon the way this season started for him. It was very, very difficult. The young man can make plays with his arm and with his legs. That's not true of A.J. McCarron of Alabama, who's a system quarterback. I think that will separate LSU. I agree with Torrance. The fact that Jefferson starts this game gives them a definitive edge over the first matchup. I know Jefferson has been inconsistent. I know he can have bad games. I think he's on a mission here, though. I really do. And LSU can make plays on the perimeter against that big, physical, but not great East and West Alabama defense. And I think also in the passing game, they have a slight edge over Alabama as well. And in the Superdome, maybe a slight edge there too, although my ticket broker tells me that about 40 to 45% of the fans will be Alabama fans in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. That's the verdict. I'm sticking to it. As always, it's time now for our other popular segment, Marvelous Minute. Marvelous Marvin LeBlanc steps forward to present his Marvelous Minute of inspiration, great advice, how to live your life. You can go to marvinleblanc.com/TV, noted author, and a guy that I know you are always happy to hear from, and I know he's got something to say today. It's great to have Marvelous Marvin LeBlanc with us. Marvin, good evening.
Good evening, Ken, and good afternoon, Tiger Nation. As always, Brian is wrong. He'll be wrong tonight. Vaughan Johnson and Torrance Small came close to what the final score is, but this morning when I woke up, the final score was 34-23. Alabama goes home. LSU eats elephant steaks for the next week. So that's the prediction there. The most important thing to remember right now is remember this day and remember this moment in your life, because today is LSU National Champions Day, and I am going to give away a ton of free stuff. If you go to marvinleblanc.com, you're going to get more information on leadership for the next year, because this is the 4 ingredients you have to win, Vaughan. You have to have talent, skills, attitude. Listen up to this one, girls and boys. Ability to overcome adversity and win in a different way. And that's what we had to do. And I have said from the beginning that the most important game for LSU this year was the Oregon game, because there was so many uncertainties and they had to find a different way to win. So how about your organization? Sometimes you can't win in the way you used to win. What about your talent in your organization? How about their skills and attitude? So right now, remember that Marvin LeBlanc is a performance strategist that can help your organization with their skills and attitude so that you can also win now, not just the LSU Tigers. I'm Marvin LeBlanc, and recently the book Come Hell or High Water by Marvin LeBlanc became the #1 Amazon bestseller. From Cajunville, Duplessis, Louisiana. Can you believe it? So dreams can come true, but it does take those talents, those skills, those attitudes, and the ability to win in a different way. MarvinLeBlanc.com. Go there and say, Marvin, I want the LSU Champion Special, and it will be yours for free tomorrow. Back to you, Ken.
Way to go, Marvin. Well stated. I'm inspired. I'm fired up. Let's play the game. When we return in just a moment, we'll break down the BCS Championship game matchup-wise as we continue with sportsNOLAtv from Bergeron Automotive. The hype is over. The game is here. Number 1 LSU, number 2 Alabama, coming up shortly this evening in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Of course, LSU winning 9-6 November 5th at Tuscaloosa in a game that was pretty evenly played. Slight edge to Alabama in total yardage. Michael Ford, 72 yards rushing. A lot of that on the option later stages of the game. Trent Richardson, LSU contained him running 89 yards. He did have 80 yards receiving. He's a great player. Ken Trahan, Bergeron, Jeep, Volvo, you name it, they've got a Dodge, Eagle, hey, Ram. They've got everything you want here at Bergeron Automotive. We advise you to come by and get the vehicle of your choice, 3525 Veterans Boulevard in Metairie. Okay, the matchup is here. Let's talk about matchups. Brian, first and foremost, I guess we start with Alabama, and we saw Trent Richardson held to 89 yards rushing the first time around. Some people have said he needed to get the ball more. I don't agree with that because they threw it to him quite a bit as well as we watch him run the ball. The guy's great. He's the best running back in college football, in my opinion. He's got to touch the ball 30 times in this game, doesn't he?
Yeah, at least 25, Kenny. I agree with you totally. And he's going to get his yards. I think that they would be happy with him getting his yards and just, limiting their production to Trent Richardson as much as anything else. If he goes off, if he has a 200-yard game, which I don't think is going to happen, all right, they're in good stead. But I don't see it happening. But you're right. He's going to have to touch the ball 25, 30 times a game.
Yeah. Now, it's going to have to be more than just Trent. If they're going to beat LSU, one guy is not going to beat LSU. I'm just here to say they're going to have some other guys step up. Mays, Karen, some of these other receivers, they're going to have to step up, and they're all going to have to contribute in order to beat LSU. It's just not one guy is not going to beat them. I don't care how good of a game he's at. He might keep it close, but he will not win the game.
Vaughn Marquise Mays, who Torrance alluded to as their best wide receiver for Alabama. He's not Julio Jones, though, and he's matched up with Mo Claiborne and Tyrann Mathieu and Tharold Simon. I like the matchup for LSU there.
Absolutely. I love the matchup for him. And, the key to that is the quarterback's going to have time to be able to get it to him. The defensive line are not going to sit back and just let this guy throw the ball all over the field. I think our cornerback matches up real well with him. It's going to be a tough matchup for Alabama. I don't think they're going to have time to pass it all up and down the field.
Brian, I like LSU's pass rush ability against Alabama. The one place Alabama has a chance to win this game is by running right at LSU. If they can establish the line of scrimmage and stay with it and stay committed to it, that to me is their one chance to be able to control this game and win this game.
I agree. You want to try and limit LSU's possessions, and I disagree with Torrance to a degree. If Trent Richardson doesn't have the kind of game that could have lifted him up to Heisman Trophy status, all right? If he doesn't have that kind of game, they're not going to win. He has got to have a mammoth game tonight in order for them to win.
I understand what you're saying. He has to have a big game, but my thing is he is not going to win it. That is not going to be enough. He can have the big game. He can have a 200-yard game for all I care. But that would not be enough. If somebody else don't step up to help out, special teams, receiver, whatever it may be, if somebody else don't step up and help out, they're not going to win this game.
To me, this game clearly comes down to Jordan Jefferson. It's that pure and simple. If he plays the way he's capable of playing, he plays the way he's played in bowl games, if he plays the way he played against Arkansas rather than against Georgia, LSU wins the game. Vaughn, from the standpoint of defenses, LSU's defense, fastest I've ever seen. Alabama defense, maybe the most physical I've ever seen. Different types of defenses, similar results.
Different types of defense. LSU, like you say, they have tremendous speed, strength. Alabama defense, very physical. They would love for LSU to just hand the ball off 30, 40 times a game. But, you know, they got Jefferson. He's the difference. He's not going to just turn and hand it off. He can run the option. He can throw the pass. It's going to be a little bit more difficult.
You
for
nailed it
Alabama.
earlier, Vaughn. You talked about the kicking game, and to me, that's the difference between these two teams. LSU is far superior. Drew Alleman, he's money. He'll make the field goals. Brad Wing, to me, is the best punter in the country. Tyrann Mathieu, an elite returner. Mo Claiborne's pretty good returning kickoffs. LSU's average field position is the best in the country, and I really do think that's the separator.
Well, like you say, you know, if both offenses and both defenses wash each other off, then there you go. The special team's going to make the difference, and without a doubt, LSU has the better special team.
Yeah, in Alabama, they have a great defense. We don't want to put nothing past. They have a great defense.
Terrific defense.
Yeah, great defense. Their front four, a lot of power, a lot of strength up there, and they're pushed. Those guys push. But the one thing that hurt these guys when Jefferson came in is when they spread them out. When they spread their team out and made them run, that's what affect the defensive front that they have.
Brian, these defensive backs of LSU, it doesn't get any better than this collectively than this group we're looking at right here from LSU.
Absolutely. When you think about that, Patrick Peterson is a year into the NFL and ended up being all-pro as a return guy for Arizona, and that he's not in this secondary. Imagine what they are. But all they have is
there's the play right there. There's Eric Reed.
To me, that's the signature play of the LSU season right there.
That's a number one pick in the NFL draft when he comes out. He's a sophomore right now.
Mo Claiborne is easily he's a top 5, top 6 pick. You know,
that's Eric Reed. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, and Eric Reed is well too.
Matthew's great. Darryl Simon's really good. Brandon Taylor's outstanding. Where do you want me to stop?
I know.
Craig Lawson is a stud.
Yes, you go down the line. The Honey Badger left.
That's Darryl Simon. Brilliant player.
The Honey Badger left for a couple of games, and then we brought in Brooks. He came in and made plays. Yeah. I mean, you can go down the line with these guys for his defensive back. And I just don't think in the air they're not going to be able to do it.
I've never seen a better secondary collectively than this LSU secondary in terms of talent. Brian, final matchup to bring up, and that's the coaching matchup. Nick Saban has gotten his due, and justifiably so. He's a brilliant coach who's won national championships now at 2 different places. We all know about him, and everybody wants to give him the edge in this matchup. Les Miles has beaten him 3 out of 5 times, and he doesn't get his due. I think that's another chip on the shoulder going into this game in favor of LSU.
Absolutely, but remember, Kenny, you know what? Once they kick it off, it's down to the players, and I'm a big believer in players win football games. Coaches prep, and they've done their best. These are 2 of the most outstanding college coaches that you're going to see go head-to-head tonight. But it's done now. The hay is in the barn, so to speak, and now it's up to the players. And I think I agree with you, Kenny. I think, you know, Nick's legacy will be if he can beat Les tonight. I think that's going to add to his legacy for sure.
Torrance, I want to ask you this question. You played the game. If you look at these teams, Nick Saban is a no-nonsense guy. His teams reflect him. They're serious, prepared, ready to go. Les Miles is a laissez-faire guy. You know, let the good times roll. They're loose. His players are that way, and they play that way. Is that an advantage in a big game in your mind?
I don't think it's too much of an advantage because, like Brian said, players are going to have to go out and play. One thing these 2 coaches do, they get their players up to play. Nick Saban more detailed, fundamental sound, everybody be where you're supposed to be, not too much hooray and all that going on. But the Mad Hatter, when he comes, he finds a different way to get his guys to play. He gets them loose, he keeps them loose, he keeps them excited, he gets them ready. Whatever it takes to get those guys ready, that's what they do. They're different, but they're effective. And that's the thing it's not so much of a difference for us, the teams, one being better than the other, but it is for who's going to win this game, who can get up, force the
Vaughan
place.
playing in the Superdome, an advantage to LSU?
Oh, it's definitely an advantage to LSU. It's like a home game. I mean, they beat Alabama in Alabama the first time. Now Alabama's got to bring it to New Orleans. So I think it's a big advantage for LSU.
Well, it's going to be interesting. Of course, if LSU wins this game, in my opinion, it will be the greatest single season in college football history based upon the schedule, who they've defeated, and what their final record was, unbeaten. When we return in just a moment, we'll take a look at the Saints and the 49ers coming up at Candlestick when Sports NOLA TV continues from Bergeron Automotive in Metairie. A new feature is now on sportsNOLA.com at sportsNOLA. Send us your questions about the local sports scene either through the website, our Facebook page, or on Twitter at sportsNOLA. We'll answer selected questions on the site each Wednesday and each week in January. One lucky submission will win a family 4-pack of tickets to the Advance Auto Parts Monster Jam on January 28th in the Superdome. But you can only win by sending in your questions now for Ask Sports NOLA. Ken Trahan with you, Bergeron Automotive, 3525 Veterans in North Arnold and Metairie. Sports NOLA TV continues, and the playoff schedule for the NFL Week 2 is now set. Here it is. Denver against New England, Saturday at 7 p.m. Houston against Baltimore, Sunday at noon. Those are the AFC games. In the NFC, the Giants and Green Bay, Sunday 3:30. And, of course, the Saints taking on the 49ers, which we'll get into momentarily prior to the Super Bowl. There's the matchup on Saturday at 3:30. The series history, but not in the postseason. Last year's meeting, down to the last play, a Garrett Hartley field goal. Saints won at Candlestick 25-22 on Monday Night Football, Week 2 of the NFL season. All right, Brian, so how do you see this game between the Saints and the 49ers?
Well, obviously, a big deal's being made about the Saints going up against the #1 defense in the NFL, and the 49ers deserve to be where they are. They deserve the week off. They earned it. But when it comes to playing playoff football, winning football, tournament football, I think the Saints' experience is going to carry them over the hump. Jim Harbaugh's had a great season. This is an up-and-coming young team. They haven't done it, and all the experience, everything to me points to an experienced playoff team, and that's the Saints. They'll come away with a win on Saturday afternoon.
Vaughan Johnson, you played a lot of games at that stadium on that surface. Your look at this game, how you feel about it, and whether or not that surface will make a difference.
I don't think the surface is going to make that much of a difference. Outside of a rainstorm and wet the field down, man, the Saints have too many offensive weapons. They're going to be going up against a tremendous defense. I agree with that. Those guys do a good job playing defense. But, man, you got so many weapons to try and stop with the receivers and the running game. I really see the Saints coming out winning this football game.
Yep, sunny and about 60 to 63 degrees is the forecast right now, but that doesn't mean the sprinklers are not left on overnight. Although if that happens, I'm sure the league would have something to say about it. Torrance, your take?
Well, the way I look at it, it doesn't matter what the field is like. They're playing on the same field that the Saints are playing on. Doesn't matter. One thing that I think the Saints have a little chip on their shoulder. We're talking about we have a chip on their shoulder earlier in this segment. Let's talk about the Saints have a chip. The last thing the defense remember, Marshawn Lynch running through us. The offense going, not letting Seattle shut us out, shutting us down and all. I think we have a big chip on our shoulder. I think we're going to go back and we're going to show that we can win on the road, and the Saints will come out on top. I don't think 49ers, I don't think they have enough offense. I just don't think they have enough offense to keep up with them.
I think it's a very tough game for the Saints. I like them to win a close game as well. We'll have a special edition of Sports NOLA TV tomorrow evening at 5 p.m. That's right, 5 p.m. tomorrow. Special time, special edition, Sports NOLA TV to break down the BCS Championship. Brian and Torrance will be here to do so, along with our friend Ro Brown, and we look forward to being with you then. Brian, it's been a pleasure.
Always, Kenny. Let's have a great game tonight.
Torrance, thank you, buddy.
Hey, appreciate it.
And Vaughan, thank you as well. Always great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
For all three of these gentlemen and our entire crew, I'm Ken Trahan. God bless you one and all. Rounding third and heading home. So long.